Markets under uncertainty, a discovery process of comparative advantage and ownership. At any moment in time, the ownership of capital in a market economy is not a settled fact. It is a provisional outcome of an ongoing discovery process. Ownership is not fundamentally justified by first use or historical transfer, but by an implicit and continuously tested claim that the current owner is the one best positioned to deploy that capital productively under conditions of uncertainty. A market is therefore not merely a system of exchange. It is a system for discovering, through competition and feedback, who has the highest comparative advantage in controlling capital at any given moment. Uncertainty and the instability of ownership. All economic decisions are made under uncertainty. Future demand, technological change, and the actions of others are never known with certainty. Because of this, no ownership claim can be permanently justified by past conditions alone. The fact that someone acquired a resource in the past does not imply that they remain the most productive user of that resource in the present or future. As conditions change, so too does the identity of the agent with the highest comparative advantage. This makes ownership inherently unstable, not in a chaotic sense, but in a dynamic, continuously evaluated sense. Markets exist to manage this instability. Bidding as a claim of comparative advantage. The mechanism through which markets attempt to resolve this uncertainty is competitive bidding, whether explicit or implicit. When an agent bids for control over capital, they are making a forward-looking claim. Given my expectations, abilities, and alternatives, I can generate more value from this resource than its current use. This claim is not arbitrary. It is constrained by opportunity cost, available capital, expectations about future production. A bid is therefore a priced hypothesis about comparative advantage. Importantly, markets do not require certainty. They require that agents put something at stake proportional to their confidence. This transforms subjective expectations into objective, testable commitments. Profit and loss as a dual feedback system. The distinguishing feature of markets is not just that they allow claims to be made, but that they systematically evaluate and correct those claims through profit and loss. Profit and loss operate as a dual feedback mechanism. Ex ante, discipline on judgment. Before acquiring capital, an agent must commit scarce resources and outbid alternative uses. This imposes immediate discipline. Overconfidence increases potential loss. Underestimation of uncertainty leads to ruin. Capital constraints force prioritization. Only those willing to stake resources proportional to their claim of superior use gain control. Weak or unconvincing claims are filtered out before they are ever tested. In this sense, the market imposes a cost on being wrong in advance. Ex post, correction through outcomes. After capital is deployed, reality resolves uncertainty. Profit rewards correct judgments. Loss punishes incorrect ones. These are not merely financial outcomes, they are informational signals. Profit indicates that the agent's expectation of comparative advantage was relatively accurate. Loss indicates that capital was misallocated relative to alternatives. The magnitude of profit and loss encodes the degree of accuracy or error. The learning loop. The true function of profit and loss emerges when these two phases are connected. An agent forms expectations and commits capital. Outcomes generate profit or loss. The agent updates their expectations. Future decisions reflect improved or degraded judgment. This creates a continuous learning loop in which better decision-makers accumulate capital. Poor decision-makers lose control over capital. Expectations become progressively refined. Over time, this process reallocates capital toward those who demonstrate superior ability to anticipate and respond to changing conditions. Punishment as a necessary condition for discovery. The corrective power of this system depends critically on the presence of real loss. If incorrect judgments were not punished, agents could make arbitrary or inflated claims without consequence. Capital would not be reallocated away from inefficient uses. The system would lose its ability to distinguish signal from noise. Loss is therefore not a flaw, it is the mechanism that makes learning possible. Likewise, profit without corresponding exposure to loss would produce persistent misallocation. The symmetry between reward and punishment is what allows the system to converge toward more efficient outcomes. Ownership as a temporary equilibrium. At any given moment, the current owner of a piece of capital represents a temporary equilibrium in this process. Their ownership persists only so long as no competitor can credibly stake a superior claim through bidding. Their own use continues to generate sufficient returns relative to alternatives. Once these conditions no longer hold, pressure emerges for reallocation. Ownership is therefore not absolute. It is contingent on ongoing performance and continuously subject to challenge. Comparative advantage as an emergent property. The market does not assume that comparative advantage is known. It discovers it through competitive claims, capital at risk, outcome-based feedback. An agent does not need to be universally superior, they only need to be more productive with a specific piece of capital relative to its current use. This localized, context-dependent advantage is what the market continuously searches for and approximates. Conclusion. A market operating under uncertainty is best understood as an adaptive system for discovering comparative advantage in ownership through the interplay of competitive bidding, opportunity cost constraints, profit and loss feedback. The market transforms uncertain expectations into testable claims and outcomes into corrective signals. Ownership emerges as a provisional result of this process, not as a fixed right, but as a continuously evaluated position. At every moment, the allocation of capital reflects the system's current best approximation of who can use it most productively. And because uncertainty never disappears, this process of discovery, correction, and reallocation never ends.